Welcome to the Brain Software Podcast, episode 155, coming to you from the Hypnotic World Epicenter, Toronto, Canada. I'm Chris Thompson, and today, hypnotist and NLP trainer Mike Mandel and I will be talking all about beliefs and how to change them. So stay tuned.
And so, in conclusion, my dear friends, I would like to sum up the three crucial points I've just elucidated, thus bringing all of you to completion. First of all, I urge all of you budding young astronauts to remember the power of a really nice breakfast. I think far too many hypnotists, and a jolly good number of NLP people too, have focused far too much on jam and grape jelly, while entirely neglecting a good Scottish marmalade. I say, bring back the Robertson Seville orange marmalade. The second point I will recapitulate is this. Good weaponry will never defeat excellent personal hygiene. It's always a good idea to have a bucket of warm, soapy water and some scrub brushes handy, and don't be reluctant to apply as needed to the precincts. And finally, let's not neglect the power of a well-intended hypnotic suggestion. For that reason alone, we can forget all we think we know that we know about first aid. Let us rather spend those well-deserved afternoons at the racetrack.
Whatever happened to that old tranquility we used to know? These are days of victory! So please welcome to the Hypno Microphone, a man who speaks fluent Brilly, a man who's consigned two other hypnotists to the electric chair, and a man who has issued a governor's pardon to one of them. Oh, here he is, ladies and gentlemen, Mike Mandel.
Yes, Bavarch, everybody. Great to be here.
Great greetings. And Vucci.
Vuti.
And Lucci and Vucci got mixed together somehow. Lucci, hi-yo.
We're at work right now.
Yeah, we are. All right, so today we're doing a wonderful podcast. This is our second podcast, having returned from the COVID isolation, having to record over Zoom.
What a trial
worked,
it's been.
But it's just higher energy, buddy, when we're together.
I know.
All right, so we're doing one all about beliefs, and we believe this is going to be exceptional.
Oh, very funny double reference.
We think this might turn into a two-parter. We have so much material. We're going to find out as we go. So you might be in for a real treat with two podcasts on beliefs.
But what about promotional items, Chris?
Right. So we're going to give you a quick commercial break, which is all about the Mike Mandel Hypnosis Academy. We want to make sure that if you're listening and you have always thought, you know what, this topic of hypnosis, and of course all that goes along with it, the stuff we talk about on this podcast all the time, is pretty cool. I'd like to learn that stuff. Guess what? You can learn for free. That's because we have a free trial to the Mike Mandel Hypnosis Academy, and you'll find it right on our homepage, MikeMandelHypnosis.com. Visit, sign up, enjoy it for free. You can cancel anytime if you don't want to stay a member. There are no strings, no commitments, no funny business. You're going to love it. All right, on with the show.
Right, and Chris, I was just thinking, yesterday we did our mentoring session with three of our students, and we have students in Libya and in
all around the world,
New Zealand and Brazil and every continent except Antarctica.
That's right.
So we're looking for some explorer, some pole crosser to join up. They're the most wonderful thing. Let's talk about beliefs. I've got a set of think tank words, though, that we're going to have to patch into this as we normally do. And for those of you just tuning in, we recommend you go way back in our podcast, so some of the things we're saying will make sense. But the think tank is a random word generator created by Savo Bukacek. I'm blessed to own an actual one. And when I was at the cabin,
I imagine a bunch of pieces of paper in like this plastic jar.
No, it's a sphere with handles on it, knobs that you can turn. Okay, there's a joke there. And inside are little chips of plastic with 13,000 words written on, or 30,000. So you turn it, you get random words, and then you are by Edward de Bono's method, you are forced to apply those words to your situation. You can't pick and choose. If you like a word, it's because it already applies, but you've got to stretch yourself and use the pattern generation system of the human brain. We do this with every podcast.
Yeah.
We get 3 random words. We used to get only 1, but we care so much. We get 3 now.
That's right.
And we're going to map these across to the content of the podcast and
we
see what
won't
comes
always,
up.
We won't always talk about how we're mapping it across, but they're there in the background working away, and they're helping us create this content. Okay, and if you don't know what the word means, which is going to happen
Phone
to me,
Chris.
happens
Here's
to me
his
all
phone
the
number.
time, you can feel free to make up a definition that works perfectly for you. All right, what are the 3
Carry
words?
on. The first
What
word is alpaca.
ALPACA.
Damn, I thought it said Africa.
I have no idea what that word means.
The second one is blarney.
I have no idea what blarney means,
And the
but I
third
can
one
imagine
is
spelling it.
muttering.
Muttering. I think I know
Watch
what that
out
means.
for wizards who mutter.
I
and
do know
peep.
what muttering means.
Well,
So-
let's start with alpaca.
Okay, what does it mean?
To my thinking, Chris, alpaca, and you can check the definition on our document here if you want. I think
Actually,
it's
yeah.
an animal very much like a llama. I think not a Tibetan llama, but the llama, the animal. Let's just check because, I think you deleted it.
No, it's a long-haired, domesticated South American mammal related to the llama. You're right. You're
yes,
right. Look at
Valued
that.
for its wool.
Valued
Okay,
for its
now let's
wool.
map
Oh.
this across. How does this apply to beliefs?
Well, people believe that wool is valuable. The value of something is only insofar as people are willing to pay for it.
Well, that's good.
Right.
Also, remember, all of these things that are wool-producing animals are periodically sheared.
Mm-hmm.
And when they're sheared, it's not to punish them. It actually frees them from all sorts of insects and that are trapped in the wool. But the wool is then used for a purpose. I'm wondering if we have to re-examine our beliefs from time to time and shear them away if necessary.
Ooh, that's a great one. Yeah, shear away old beliefs. Let new ones
You
grow
just sort
in
of
their
randomly
place.
held your hand up when you said
like
that.
as if I was using clippers on my
It looked
hair.
more like
Yeah.
you're using like an egg flipper.
That's true.
Very
Yeah,
unusual.
I did a very weird gesture. All right, so there you go. That alpaca.
You got nothing else on alpaca?
No, I got nothing, and I've got to look up blarney. I don't even know what that means.
Blarney, it's an Irish term. It's
makes
like the
me think of
Blarney
Barney
Stone.
from
Yeah, it
The
means
Simpsons.
flattery. Like
Okay, pleasant
someone who has the gift of the gab is someone who has kissed the Blarney Stone.
okay, got you.
So the
they've
Blarney
got
Stone is at a castle in Ireland. You have to hang off the edge of the castle and be held by another human being so you can kiss this stone.
pleasant flattery.
And a lot of people do it.
Okay.
And they say, he's kissed the Blarney Stone he had. Listen to him speak.
Awesome.
And if you are able to speak fluently and pleasantly and make the occasional, brilliant joke, you have kissed the Blarney Stone. Would you do that, Chris? Would you hang from a castle wall if I was the one holding your ankles?
I believe that I would not. No.
That's like probably a
I knew you were
sound
going to
belief.
say if I was the one holding your ankles.
Oh, man, that would be so... It's weird because when I was younger, working with a lot of rock bands in my 20s, there was one guy who was a roadie for one of the bands. I won't mention his name. But he was at a party and he held someone over a balcony for a joke, like a 9th floor balcony.
man.
And can you imagine being that irresponsible? I wasn't there for that. But the person didn't get any more Blarney skills. I think it probably just learned a few more swear words and screaming. But anyway, so Blarney, how does that apply? This fluid talk, this banter and beliefs. You know what comes to mind with me? If someone is a good speaker, skilled in rhetoric, they can express their beliefs and be more influential to others.
I was just thinking
Well,
not only
you
more
said you didn't,
influential,
I
but
said it.
also what I was going to say is if the beliefs are in some way controversial, they'll come across as less aggressive or assertive or
that's
controversial in any way, because if you have that gift of the gab, you're seeming more pleasant and people are going to associate your beliefs to you, and it's just not as
that's
problematic.
good. That's good. And I'm currently reading How to Have Impossible Conversations.
Due to
I've
my
almost
recommendation.
finished it. Yeah. I find it a bit five-ish. You know how Cialdini's books are very sort of user-friendly?
Yes.
I find this a
is
little dense. I don't know how
Yeah.
you're doing it on the listening to it, but I've been highlighting like Jack the frickin' highlighter.
So when I get an audiobook and I really like it, usually my next step is I go to Amazon and I buy the physical book, which I will definitely be doing with this one. I just haven't done it yet because I have a few other books in my queue, and I want to promise myself I will finish reading the ones that are in the queue before I buy more.
Okay, see, Chris,
Anyway, I am
let's
buying
address
it.
that. Listening to it and then reading it. Now, if you don't like the book, will you still read it, buy it, and read it?
Oh yeah, I'll only buy the physical if I thought it was a great audiobook.
Okay, see, this
so
to
that
me-
I can highlight it and
This
then
is a
study the
concern.
material.
I believe,
This is
going
an
to belief
intervention.
right away, I believe doing that You're adding a middle step you don't need. It's like drinking beer when you can pour it directly into a urinal, and eliminate the middleman.
Okay. I like it, but I'm not sure I follow.
It's a waste of money. Anyway, so, okay, let's leave. This is all becoming blarney. What about muttering?
Okay, muttering.
When I hear muttering, I think of wizards who mutter and peep and double toil and
I think about somebody who is sort of saying something, but they're not committing to it.
Oh, man.
I'm just, under my breath muttering. Instead of just standing up for what I believe in and actually freaking saying it, he's going to...
That drives me nuts.
You know what I mean?
Yes. In fact, you just brought a memory back. Early 1980s, before I was married, I hired a guy through one of these employment centers, paid him cash, very nice guy, to drive me to a few events. So I could do a show because I would get too tired. I would burn out because I'd go out 2 hours full on at a high school or something, and he'd drive me back again. But the idea was so I could sleep in the car, and I took a pillow. He couldn't stop muttering. So we're turning left here, and we might. I wasn't expecting the light to go red, and it's like, yeah, that's good, man. I'm just trying to sleep. Yeah, I thought the second thing in the show today was just muttering. He's one of the two. He's one of the two I consigned to the electric chair once he studied hypnosis. Now listen,
this is way too much talking about
a belief. Here's a definition. Tony Robbins' definition of belief. I looked it up.
Okay,
and I like it. A belief is any guiding principle, dictum, faith, or passion that can provide meaning and direction in life.
All right.
Now beliefs are good or not so good because they enable us to make instant decisions without having to reevaluate things. Like if you know that you would never, give another person a glass of muriatic acid to drink. If you have a glass of wine and muriatic acid in front of you and the person says, "Could I have something to drink?" You're going to automatically hand them the wine.
Of course.
You're not going to say, "Oh, well, this would be interesting." Yeah. Because your belief is that muriatic acid would kill a person. And there's all sorts of things like that enable us to take shortcuts, right?
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say is a shortcut. A belief can be a shortcut, but it can also be something that you need to reevaluate if that shortcut is not serving you well in the future.
Okay, we'll get there.
Yeah.
Now, Tony Robbins also said, belief delivers a direct command to your nervous system. What do you make of that?
Well, I have an idea in my mind. I'm
attempting share it to the rest of us
words.
Because our telepathic powers aren't that high today.
Yeah, direct connection to your nervous system or direct command to your nervous system. I guess it's like when you are consciously evaluating something, you're lighting up neural circuitry in your brain.
Right. I'll go down that. Okay, yeah. That's it. And you're going to take on physiology and all these things.
Absolutely.
If you believe you're a winner, your whole physiology is going to be totally different than if you feel like you're an abject loser.
Yes.
Or that you're going to be drinking muriatic acid.
Was that an embedded command?
It was.
Were you
marking intervention?
No,
an NLP trainer who we both know, I've just put his name here so you don't know who I'm talking about.
Oh, right.
He said to me once, he said, beliefs are not important at all. And he said it really fervently.
I know what you would have said. You would have said, do you really believe that?
And he went quiet and sort of read. And then instead of defending his beliefs, he just stopped talking. And I said, refusal to answer my question doesn't make it go away. Yeah. You've not won because you've refused to address this.
Yeah.
It was like Jay Quinlan, the police trainer, saying, no one can make a definite statement about anything. And I said, including the one you just made. Yeah, so this stuff self-stultifies whether or not you answer it. But beliefs, the question is, Chris, are beliefs true or are they false?
Well, a belief should be something. It should either be a fact.
I'm hearing the should word.
Or a belief. Beliefs, to me, are much closer to opinions. They're not provable as correct or false. I mean, if you say, I believe the earth is flat, you're just scientifically wrong. Hopefully we're not going to get nasty emails from the Flat Earthers Society or whatever, but if you're making a claim about a belief about something that is scientific and is provable yes or no, it's either true or not, then it's not really a belief. Do you agree with that? Or
No, not at all. Only because the point I'm making with the question, are beliefs true or false, is it is irrelevant whether or not they're true or false.
Okay.
Beliefs are... structured with closely held criteria and set up our reality tunnels and so on. There are things that we hold to be true.
They're true
and
for
we
you.
Wait a minute. Now you're into relative truth, which of course is a contradiction in terms.
You're behaving as if it's true. That's what I mean.
Right.
Yeah. So I don't mean like it's true for you, but it doesn't have to necessarily be true.
Yeah.
If you think the earth is flat, you're going to behave in a certain way. Right. You're going to accuse, people of lying about whatever, all kinds of things.
So the point is, whether someone believes something, you would presume they believe it is true.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is, it doesn't matter if a belief is true or not. The question is it useful?
Yes, that's a much better question.
Because we're back to that, the test of a model. A belief in a way is a model, isn't it?
Sure.
So someone can believe they're a good person and cheat on their tax and, be nasty to their spouse or whatever, and other people would question that belief. So the belief doesn't necessarily have to be true, nor does it have to be false.
Yes.
It's something that we are holding as a structure.
Okay.
Okay? So beliefs are things that sort and filter data and prove themselves to be true. In other words, when we talked about reality tunnels a lot. A reality tunnel is a way of looking at the world based on a series or structure built of our own beliefs. So if these beliefs are sorting data and filtering what comes in, we tend to delete that which we do not want to appear as true. Right? We don't want something to be true.
Okay.
So we don't let that in.
Okay.
So we bring in the confirmation bias instead, and we look for things to support our beliefs automatically.
Oh, for sure.
You're in total agreement with that?
I would agree that people look for data or other information that supports their belief.
Right, and we can prove this just by Google searching.
Yeah, for sure. People do that all the time.
If I think all British people have the best sense of humor in the world, which we do.
Yeah, people go to Google and they say, do British people have the best sense of humor? And you find, 30 articles proving that you're correct.
That's right.
Yeah.
No one Googles and says, goes on to the Google and says, what are the proofs that British people have no sense of humor? Obviously not, right? So we're looking for confirmation of what we believe. Now, do you believe this? That every belief is actually a resource with a positive intention. I had to think about this one as I put this one together.
that's a good question. The old philosophy, the model.
You said philosophy.
The philosophy, yeah. The old NLP model is that every behavior has a positive intention, and if beliefs drive behaviors, then they should also have a positive intention.
Right.
Yes, I would agree.
Yeah, and as Bandler and Grinder said, human beings are not broken; they function perfectly. It's just sometimes the behaviors are not conducive to a good life, and I've added that part. Now, beliefs are actually generalizations, and they make decision making easier. So, if I have a belief that I'm a good person and I'm going to be kind to other people, when I see an elderly person going down the road on crutches or something, and they drop something, I'm not going to have to stop. Well, I wonder if I should. Yeah, should I
help pick that up?
Pick that up or not? In fact, the funniest that ever happened was I found a wallet on the sidewalk on St. Clair Avenue with about $80 in it and all the person's ID. And I looked, and I had the address and their driver's license. They dropped it on the street, and it was about 3 blocks away. So I walked to their place. It was an apartment building. As I got to the door, someone was coming out. So I walked in. I went up to the apartment, knocked on the door. There was no answer. And I saw there was a letter slot in the door. So I opened it and flung their wallet so it would go way across the room.
That's when
They'd
they
come
would
home.
wonder.
They had it with them, and they've come home, and it's in their apartment.
That would be really weird.
And they will now believe in ghosts and CERN and all these wonderful things. But they're generalizations that will help us make decisions easily. And we set these up automatically, right? Like, if I believe that I have to be very congruent to do a good presentation, then I'm going to make sure that I'm congruent when I make a presentation. I don't reevaluate it every time.
Yeah.
I wonder if I can do this one sitting down and just sort of muttering. We're back to muttering.
Maybe I can mutter my way through this one.
Or kiss a Blarney Stone or something. Yeah. Now, beliefs create robust reality tunnels. Now, I'll let you explore that one for a moment. Robust reality tunnels are created by beliefs.
Okay.
So what do you make of that?
Well, robust, it comes back to what you said. You're going to look for information that validates your belief, and you're going to live as if that belief is totally true.
Yes. And if our reality tunnel is constructed of many different beliefs, there's an interlocking effect.
Yeah.
a lot of beliefs are dependent upon each other. And when we get to changing your beliefs, that will be a key point of this. So reality tunnels are the overall view built of beliefs that we structure the world through. The way we deal with other human beings, what we anticipate will happen in the future. All of these things are supported by sets of hundreds, if not thousands of beliefs. And Robert Dilts with his logical levels, which I think is still brilliant.
Great model.
I've heard some NLP people say it's not actually, a very well-known one said it's not truly a hierarchy as it should be, because he said it doesn't work with set theory and the hierarchical effect.
Models,
Yeah, I know.
They all, any model or any metaphor has its limits, and they break down when you push those limits. But they're
Yes.
still useful within the constraints.
They break down because they are not the thing that they are
Exactly.
representing. If
Yeah.
they were the thing, you wouldn't need a frickin' model, right?
Yeah.
So, but in fact, I just rebought one of Dilts' books. No, one I never had, these sleight of mouth patterns.
Oh, nice.
Which I thought I'm always learning, Chris, always expanding the knowledge, always staying at the top
now
of
I have
my
to
game.
add that to my list.
Well, when I'm dead, you're the person who's getting all my hypnosis books. Michael C. Anthony thinks he is. He thinks he's getting them and that's my belief. And he thinks he's getting my Angus Young guitar and the Milton Erickson brick.
Okay.
But you get one of the three. You don't get all. You choose the guitar, you can buy 1 billion books with what that thing is worth. But Robert Dilts, with his logical levels, the bottom level, of course, we've said many times, is environment. The world you live, breathe, have your being in is affected by your behaviors. Change your behavior, your environment will change. I give the example, if you're bullied, if you put on a new behavior of being a fight back martial artist, your environment will change because people will stop bullying you. But in order to get that behavior,
You have to have the capabilities,
which are just abilities.
one level up.
You've got to learn how to defend yourself so you can then behave in that way to affect your environment. But above capabilities is what?
Beliefs.
Yes,
It's
because
beliefs.
Whether you say you can or can't, you're probably right.
Right.
You'll shut down your beliefs if
And
you
then
say you can't.
it is worth mentioning also that above beliefs, we have the level called identity. And so if you change your identity, by nature, a lot of your beliefs may shift.
And I'm glad you brought that up right now, because that's perfect timing for where I'm going with this.
Awesome.
The identity, all you did was bring something up. I mean, don't take too much credit.
I'm awesome. I am awesome.
Change his identity. Oh, no. But if you make strong identity statements that are founded on some degree of verifiable facts,
Right.
instead of, I jokingly say that I identify as a 5,000-year-old wizard who demands to be obeyed, but it's a freaking joke. I don't actually believe that. I don't walk around with robes and a wizard's
You don't
hat.
have a wizard ring or
Well, I
anything?
do, but I
Yeah,
only
okay.
wear it when I'm teaching. But because that's when I channel the 5,000-year-old wizard, Gandalf. And
By the way, I had to actually start watching Lord of the Rings.
Oh, good.
So that I could kind of get these jokes.
Have you watched it?
I'm about 3/4 of the way through the first movie.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah.
Frodo,
Yeah.
keep it safe. Keep the ring safe. Now you're getting it. It's
Yeah,
brilliant, though, isn't it?
It's a good movie. Yeah.
It's the greatest film of all time. Right up there with To Kill a Mockingbird. Now, let's continue on this. So if you make strong I am statements, like I said, they should be factually verifiable to a point. If I start saying I am a heart surgeon and believing that congruently, it's going to cause problems when I attempt to use the rib separating jack on Michael C. Anthony and do some heart surgery on him.
Well, either that or you're going to volunteer to do heart surgery and everyone's going to think you're nuts.
Yeah,
right?
unless you
So
have
either way,
unless you got a COVID mask on.
Either way, your
and people
life's
think
not
I am a
getting
surgeon.
better. Yeah.
So take on the I am statements of Dilts' logical levels. This is going to be absolutely going to be a 2 podcast thing, because we got a ton of stuff here, and we want you to realize this isn't a frivolous subject. Beliefs can wreck your life, and beliefs can transform your life. And I believe Chris is fiddling with this frickin' microphone.
I'm just adjusting
He
the
can't
pop
leave
filter.
it alone.
Yeah. I've
It's
come
not-
up with a
this
new
isn't-
intervention, though.
What
Mike,
is
just
it, the
on
pop
spot.
filter
When you
intervention?
said To Kill a Mockingbird,
Yeah.
I thought from now on we need the Gregory Peck intervention.
Oh, I
so
like it.
you can, when someone makes a claim, you can say, "Well, I don't understand how you can possibly say such a thing," because Gregory Peck never made that claim in To Kill a Mockingbird.
When he played?
Yeah,
Who?
the lawyer.
Name?
Can't remember.
Atticus Finch.
Thank you. Yeah, there you
Who
go.
wrote the book? Who wrote the book?
Oh, now you're really challenging my
Harper Lee,
yes, thank
illiterate.
you. Yeah, there
okay,
you go.
so let's continue.
At least I knew the actor that played him in the movie.
When you
Oh,
have
there
to
go.
make an at least statement, there's something wrong.
At least?
He said, well, at least.
Do you really believe that?
Oh, man.
That's a great one. When you have to make an at least statement, there is something wrong. I am going to so use that for my own amusement.
You've just described Axl Rose.
You did the Axl Rose intervention.
Listen.
What was that on podcast number maybe 151
Buddy,
or something?
I like this cultivated applause from a city. Cultivated apology from a city. I'll throw this out. I believe this is how I'm tying it in.
Yeah,
I believe this is a good intervention to use on a friend or somebody you don't know that well. Would be even better.
You explained this to me just the other day.
If someone says something, I woke up laughing my head off at this. It's context free, of course. If someone says something that you did something wrong or had some failing.
And you need to apologize.
You apologize. You tell them sincerely that you're sorry. But then you undermine the apology by saying, and I deliver to you as well an apology from the entire population of Seattle.
Just any random city.
But I think Seattle's the best choice.
That is the Seattle intervention.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay. Right. So I believe it would work. Now, let's get back to the basic question. How does that belief serve you?
That's a great NLP classic question to ask.
It's a great comedy line, too.
Yeah. How does that belief serve you? That's right.
This is the worst day of my freaking life. How does that belief serve you?
Yeah. And you say it with a smile.
Of course, but not a smirk.
No.
Because smirks can lead to physical violence. You don't mutter. And you don't comb your alpaca fur while you're talking your wool. But the basic question, how does that belief serve you?
Comb your alpaca fur.
Crying out loud, Chris. Okay. The basic question, how does that belief serve you? There's a wonderful presupposition here that it doesn't.
That's right.
And we really need to challenge our beliefs. And when we challenge them, if you think of a belief as a table with legs supporting it up, the legs will be the evidence criteria. And when we start to challenge
we knock
those legs up. But I recommend you never change a belief without putting an empowering one in its place.
Yeah, put a new support in its place. Now, by the way, this is an example of where a model can fail you, right? You go, well, if it was a three-legged stool, you just knock out one of them legs and the whole thing fall down. Okay,
what accent was that?
I don't know. It was a random. It was like Lemon Cobra.
Lemon Cobra. There's a hint of Arnold under the very odd.
It's when you don't have any specific identifiable accent. It's just weird. All right,
we're agreed on that.
All right, so
we're going to have to edit that out. We're edit that out for sure.
Why?
I'm just like saying it. Go ahead. The basic question: how does that belief serve you, Chris?
It doesn't.
Yeah.
I should change it. Now, here's a question for you, though. If to change a belief, you can change the identity and that will cascade things down. If you have not changed someone's identity, will they let go of the beliefs? How does this work?
Well, because belief takes less energy to change than identity. The higher you go on the Dilt's logical level. So again, let's go upward to 6. So we have environment, behavior, capabilities, beliefs, identity. And at the top is mission or spiritual. It's your highest level. NLP doesn't touch that.
Right.
When you intervene higher, you have a more profound effect because you affect everything down below it, but it takes more energy to intervene higher up.
Good model.
So it's easier to intervene. I'm saying intervene for crying out loud. Intervene by changing a belief directly. Okay? So what did you ask me?
Well, let's say I'm thinking about someone who recently said to me, I just can't find love. No,
someone actually said that to you.
Yeah, no one will ever love me, kind of thing. Let's talk about that. So, how can a person change that belief, and do they need to make an identity shift in order to do it?
Well, we'll put that in at the end when we have gone through the entire thing, because we're going to give the tools for changing any of these beliefs. I mean, the obvious way to change a belief is look for overwhelming evidence to the contrary.
Right.
It's like John Grinder told me once when people were mind reading. Oh, he thinks that and then reverse mind reading. If you love me, you should know that I think that he said all of this stuff. And he said, there's nothing wrong with mind reading, provided you also look for overwhelming evidence to the contrary.
Okay, so that can work in certain cases, and in other cases, it can be very difficult to find the evidence. So you might need another strategy.
Right. So it's very interesting. I had a kid tell me once, I was counseling a kid at a church youth group. The kid was about 19 years old, and good-looking kid, very fit. And he said, I don't care about my life. He said, I don't care about myself at all. And I said, look at the freaking gel in your hair and the clothes you're wearing. I said, you spent half an hour in front of the mirror this morning. Don't tell me you don't care about yourself.
Yeah, that's a great
And
one.
that
There's definite
challenged him.
evidence. Yeah.
I've run into the one a lot when I was a therapist. People, I hate myself. I hate myself. No, you might hate what you've done, but you don't hate yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I'm ugly. I hate myself. I said, no, if you hated yourself, you'd be glad you were ugly.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of the difference
follow that?
between yeah,
If you hated yourself, you'd be glad you're ugly.
absolutely.
I'm not embedding that.
Yeah,
It's not an embedded
You're making
suggestion
me
for you
think of,
now.
and I apologize. I lost the thread there for
know,
a moment.
'cause
But
you were
the,
thinking
the
about your
difference
answer.
between shame and guilt, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So the
Guilt is
difference
I've done
between
something wrong.
feeling bad about a past behavior, which is the guilt part, and shame is
Something's wrong with me.
Believing something is wrong with you,
Right.
Yeah, and you deserve to be punished because you're a bad person.
Hence the felon's
shame is
claw.
at the level of belief, whereas guilt is essentially at the level of behavior, past behavior.
Interesting.
right?
Yeah. That's interesting. So let's end with this question, because
Ending part one only.
ending part one, and what we're going to spend time on for part two is we'll go into great detail on how to change beliefs, like how you can find these beliefs in your life that are not empowering and change them. I mean, seriously,
would be
guys,
great.
this works. I was a bullied little kid who was yanked out of class, writing IQ tests all the time, and
Failing them.
no, doing so ridiculously well. They kept giving me more and more. But what it was doing was it was enraging other kids who were bigger than me. And I was a bit of a smart ass then. Of course, I've completely overcome that.
And then he got picked on.
I got picked on, I bullied numerous times, and had very low self-esteem as a kid, and went from skipping grade 4 to failing grade 9 and failing grade 11. But my beliefs about myself have changed over time.
Good.
And I've changed them. And anybody can do this. Anybody can transform their life purely by transforming their beliefs.
Absolutely.
Even you, Chris.
I knew you were going to say
No,
that.
I did. But the funny thing is, I didn't.
The way you just looked at me, I knew that was coming.
Oh man, I'm
that's
still
too
laughing in the
funny.
background. I was telling Chris I saw a Britcom, and the guy was telling someone that Hitler hated jazz, which is true. And this British comic said, Hitler hated jazz. The more I hear about this fellow, the less I like him.
It's
Like
just crazy.
freaking brilliantly British.
It is a very good comedic line.
Scroll down again. Scroll to where we were.
Oh, we were up here in the
So I
notes.
want to end with this point. What would you like to believe? Now, this is
yeah.
really interesting.
That's a great question.
I thought it was, buddy. I put some time into this.
That's so unusual.
Think about this. And you're such a
I'm not kidding.
moron. Kidding. Not to say anything wrong with that. I take that back. We'll edit that out for sure. But what would you
Yeah,
like
right.
to believe? That's the question. It's how does that belief serve you? If something is causing you problems, evaluate it. Oh, I never get better. Everybody in my family is overweight. People in my family die young. I believed that for years. And I got rid of that belief.
And so
my parents knew
that's
nothing
a-
about nutrition and fitness and
That's
all
a
of these
really
things.
good one. Oh, everyone in my family is overweight. Well, I'd like to believe that everyone in my family has been overweight, and I'm going to behave differently
Yeah.
so that I get a different life.
Yeah, exactly. Framing yourself, your I am statements will change that. So before you listen to the second part of this that we'll be recording in a week, and you'll be getting it in 2 weeks, ask yourself, what would you like to believe? What would you like to believe?
That's
What
your
would be an
homework.
empowering,
That is your homework for this.
still in the middle of a sentence, comma, not a period.
Comma.
What would you like to believe in place of beliefs that are not serving you? Write those things down.
That's your
Because we're going to
empowering
show you how to change these things. No, we got your empowering
Oh,
question.
you got another
right?
empowering question.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's
So we'll
just
give you-
really go for this.
That is like the warm-up empowering question, but I'm serious. Treat this as your homework, as homework for episode 155 before you listen to 156, where we'll actually go more into how to change these beliefs. I think that would be wonderful. Come armed with what you want to have happen to your new beliefs, or your old beliefs, your new and whatever. All right, so empowering question. Ask yourself, what is the key belief that I've been holding on to for so long that it's time to change it and let it go now? And how amazing will I feel when I put an empowering belief in its place?
Nice one, Chris. Well, the Meta 5 for today, and if you're new to this, the reason we say Meta 5 is we don't just deliver metaphors. We want them to be empowering. And so we go a little further for our students and friends around the world.
Stories that make your life better.
Don't ever sing that song again, please. ever for any reason. He did this weird little Carl Smith kind of dance as he sang it, which is very odd.
did a Carl Smith
Here's
dance.
the Meta 5. The Meta 5 is the blues in Boston. A number of years ago, when we first built this academy, I got to go to a concert of a man I know fairly well and his son. The man is Prakash John. Prakash is a Pakistani Canadian, and his son Jordan is an absolute musical wizard. He plays everything, has a fantastic voice. And Prakash John is just an unbelievable bass player. He's considered one of the best bass players in the world. To see him play, you would believe me, up there with someone like John Entwistle or Tal Wilkenfeld. Amazing bass player. He's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Cleveland. He was Alice Cooper's bass player, Lou Reed's bass player, and he's a friend of mine. Nice guy. And he was performing, backing his son on bass at the Dominion Hotel in Minden, of all places.
Wow.
And I said, I've got to see him. I've got to see him live. And so I went to the event and he said, oh, we got Mike Mandel in the audience. It was really a nice thing he did. And afterwards we were talking and we got talking about music. And I said, you know, I'm a hacker. I'm not a musician. I said, I got great guitars and an amazing ukulele. I said, I'm just a blues player. I can jam with anybody in blues and I can hold my own because I've stolen great riffs from Johnny Winter and Eric Clapton and Jimmy Page and the best. And so we got talking and he said, do you like any women blues players? I said, yes. I said, I love women blues singers, but I said, my favorite women blues player is Rory Block. And she's a woman from the U.S. She traveled, learned from the greats, plays a resonator guitar with a slide, and is phenomenal. He said, I know Rory. I said, really? He said, yeah, I was in the studio with her years ago. She's a great woman. We got talking. Conversation ends. Fast forward. I have a speaking engagement in Boston. And a 1-hour keynote. Fly down to Boston. We got our academy up and running thanks to Chris. On the plane, there was a woman I mentioned in a previous metaphor, an Irish woman who I helped her with her grief using conversational hypnosis. I get to Boston. I do my keynote. And afterwards, one of our students, Matthias, takes me out for a spin around Boston. We go to Harvard and went to MIT and just drove around. He bought me some Pinot Noir and we hung out and just had a blast. And he said, I'm surprised. He said, I thought you'd be really aggressive. He said, you're actually a really nice guy. I said, never confuse the persona with the real person. Dropped me off at the hotel. It was really nice meeting him. He's an OBGYN, super smart guy, super nice guy. I walked into the hotel on a high. I did a great keynote, hung out with this guy, helped this Irish woman. And in the lobby of the hotel, I walked right into Rory Block.
Wow.
And I said, Rory Block, I said, you're one of my favorite performers. She was performing at that hotel. Her set was finished. And she was sort of nervous around me. Doesn't know who the hell I am. I got booze on my breath. And I'm saying, oh, you're great and all this. And I said, we have a friend in common. And she said, who? I said, Prakash John. And bang, that was it. That was the open door. So I stood and talked to her for a while, got my picture with her. And it's amazing how things fit together.
Thanks, everybody, for listening. This has been Brain Software, episode 155, all about beliefs, part 1. Part 2 coming up next. Make sure you do your homework so you can get the most out of it, and make sure that you head on over to MikeMandelHypnosis.com and sign up for a free trial of our flagship online hypnosis training and certification program, the Mike Mandel Hypnosis Academy, which has been running since 2013, and it only gets better. Awesome. All right. Talk to you again.
Thanks again.
In the next episode. And good night.
Mr. Thompson, I will tell you the most wonderful story of Henry Squatter and the calendar.
No, tell it. I've not heard it.
Squatter had a small pocket watch. He was always consulting to see the time. And Bryce Morgan said, I've got a watch in my tent. It runs very, very slowly. And Squatter said, well, what's the point of that? He said, well, it measures days instead of measuring minutes and hours. And the Squatter said, well, he had a veritable chronometer. He was very happy with his pocket watch, you see. He said, well, I would like to see this thing. So Bryce Morgan took him into his tent. Well, not much of a tent, really. It was a beautiful brick structure with wall-to-wall carpet and some French paintings on the walls and a champagne cellar and a beautiful fireplace. And the Squatter came in, and Peter Fitzwadsworth Smythe was sitting at the table, the old colonel, and they're all having some brandy, champagne. And on the table was set out a calendar, which was, we'd agreed with the Germans when we were going to fight with each other, you see. And we'd put certain dates, so we could all have days off. It was a lovely, lovely arrangement. This must have been 1819. I don't know. It was somewhere in the middle of the damn war. And Squatter said, well, what are you doing with that calendar? Bryce Morgan said, this is my slow-moving clock.
Squatter said, what are you talking about? He said, "Look, this is just a very slow-moving clock. That's what a calendar is." He said, damn it, Bryce Morgan, I never thought of that. You're absolutely right. And he said, look, every time you see you can X here, you can cross these out. We've done them in a red chalk. You cross them out, and those are the times the battle's going to happen with the Germans. And he said, you notice a calendar's also a time machine? And Squatter said, oh, really, Bryce Morgan, you're getting stupid with me now. He said, no, not at all. And Peter Fitzwadsworth Smythe said, yeah, he's quite right. Just then Johnny Layfield Oddswoe and Johnny Brookman Dingty Larsyard came in, and they're all listening and standing about and drinking. And Bryce Morgan said, look, for example, he held up this calendar. He said, look, there's next month. It shows everything that's going to happen. He said, if we put something in the calendar, it happens. So we're having lunch that day with the king, and then we're going to have lunch with the king. The Squatter said, damn it, Bryce Morgan. The brandy was kicking. He said, I never thought about that. You're right about that, too. He said, Squatter, we could end the war if we just write Victory Day and German surrender. Squatter said, you're damn right about that, too. When do you want it to be over? Bryce Morgan said, tomorrow. And Squatter got a pen in his pocket, and Bryce Morgan said, no, use the proper chalk. He took the red chalk and he wrote, war ends, victory, German surrender, tomorrow, midnight. Bryce Morgan said, thank you, Squatter. We all thank you. And they gave him a toast and some more brandy, a horrible hangover the next day. And we waited till midnight, and sure enough, Squatter walked out on the battlefield. And all the white phosphorus shells started coming down. The funniest damn thing. And he's running back. The brilliant thing is he never realized he's the one who had the problem. Bryce Morgan didn't even do it. He stupid man thought he could stop the war with a piece of chalk.